You are mighty.
Hi guys, you're very much welcome to my channel again. My name is Ajibola. You're welcome to Ajib Sims. If you're a newbie here, you're very much welcome. It's so good to have you. And if you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you for sticking by. So today I'm going to be teaching you on how to cut and sew these two in one piece. So the first video will be all about the pattern making, while the second video will be about the sewing. So this style was inspired by the hot weather condition in Lagos. Guys, it has not been easy, but we move. My client wanted something that would be comfortable and she would enjoy the luxury of breeze, fresh air. So I found this video and she immediately loved it. So do I. So we'll be making this dress as a blue and white, that is blue inner and white and lace. Yes, white lace. So if this is what you would love to learn, kindly subscribe, guys. You've been watching and not subscribing, kindly subscribe to this channel so you can be aware each time I drop a new video. And do not forget to like. Yes, guys, it is important to like this video. It gives me the inspiration and ginger as well. So let's go straight into the drafting. We'll be drafting the corset first, and yay, I've got my gotten myself a new pattern master, as even if it's not like the first one, but it's something. So we'll be starting by drafting the corsets, inner corsets for this dress. She wanted us a little bit longer than the one in the video. So as you can see me here, I'm drafting, just drawing a starting line for this. And the measurements you'll be needing for this are shoulder measurement, shoulder to bust measurement, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist for your front and for your back bodies, waist to hips, waist circumference, hip circumference, bust span, that is your nipple to nipple, under bust circumference, and your full gown length. So after taking those measurements, the accurate measurements, you're going to place your tape measure on that starting line on your paper to measure your shoulder to your bust measurement, that is where from your shoulder to where your nipple is. And in my case, I have 10 inches. Now I'm going to use my pattern master ruler to connect those dots together to create my bust line like this. After that, the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape measure on that starting line again to measure my shoulder to my waist measurement, my front waist measurement, which is 16 inches in my case. Yours might be different. So I'm going to connect with my ruler a straight line to connect those dots in order to create my front waistline. And mind you guys, it's a Victorian overbust corset and it's going to have a half cut. That is, I'm cutting the top separately from the skirt. So after creating my waistline, the next thing is to draft out my shoulder to my under bust line. I'm doing the same by placing my tape on that starting line to draft out my under bust. And from my shoulder to my under bust, I have 14 inches, which I have marked, and I'm going to use my ruler to draw a straight line like this. After doing that, you're going to place your tape on that starting line this way and measure out your shoulder measurement divided by 2. In my case, I had 15 inches and I divided it by 2, which makes it 7.5. And there I'm going to replicate that measurement on my bust line as well. 7.5. So using my ruler, I'm going to connect both points together with a straight line to create my armhole line like this. So I'll just be using this as a bonus for the newcomers who do not know how to. Though this is a strapless corset, but I'm just doing this as an extra. I'm going inwards from the center front by 3 inches and downwards also by 3 inches to create the basic neckline like this. So if you don't know how to draft the half cut bodies, this is just a freebie for you because I love you guys so much. So I'm going to use my ruler of my pattern master, the curve part of my pattern master to create the neckline like this. This is a basic neckline to do. So using my tape measure, I'm going to come down on that armhole line by 1 inch like this. And I will use my ruler to connect it to the neckline to create my shoulder slant because your shoulder is not straight, it is slanted. So this is how to create your shoulder slant. So the next thing to do is to draw out your chest line, and by doing that I'm going to place my tape measure on my shoulder slant that way to measure it out. And in order to get your chest line, you're going to divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. So now I'm measuring from that starting line to the chest line in order to replicate it to at the other side for me to in order for me to draw a straight line, guys. So if you don't get it, you can drop your questions in your in the comment section and I will get right back to you. So I'm going to connect it with a straight line this way. The chest line is the part where your armhole would sit comfortably. That is your curve where you're going to draw your armhole so that it will not be too too down or too up. The perfect place for your armhole to be is at the chest line. So now I'm going to measure from my center front, that is the edge of my paper, inwards 4 inches. So that is my nipple to nipple measurement, which in my case is 8 inches, and I divided it by 2, which gives me 4 inches. I'm going to put that measurement on my bust line, my under bust, and my waistline, and connect it all with a straight line to create my bust span line like that. So my client is a reserved person and she gave me a strict instruction on the covering of her cleavage. She said she doesn't want her cleavage to be showing. And so that is why from that chest line, I went up by 2 inches to create the neckline for our bustier. If you want your cleavage to show, it is better you just go up maybe by half inch or 1 inch max from your chest line to create the neckline of your bustier. So I do not want a trouble. That is why I made use of 2 inches. Now from the shoulder slant there, you can see me placing my tape measure there. I'm just trying to look for the midpoint of that shoulder slant. And just as we usually do, I'm folding my tape measure into two to mark the midpoint like that. So this method will give you the accurate calculation of your midpoint instead of measuring and trying to do the maths. So I'm going to connect those 2 points together from that my chest point there to the half measurement of my shoulder slant with a straight line like this. So placing my tape on the waist line this way, at the bust span line there, I'm going to take in one half inch on both sides to create my dart leg, and I'm going to connect it to my bust point, this my bust line point this way. So with my tape measure, I'm just going to repeat what I did on the bust span line on that line as well. I'm going to go in by half inch on both sides to create a dart at the neckline area. This dart would help to eliminate any form of gaping. It will make your neckline, the sweetheart neckline, to rest beautifully on your bust without gaping. So I'm going to connect it this way to my bust point like this to create the chest, the neckline dart. So after that is being done, the next thing to do is to draw out our sweetheart neckline. So for this neckline, you're just going to draw a curve from that chest line towards the neckline area with a beautiful curve. So this is the time to make use of your discretion or creativity in order for you to be able to draft out something beautiful. You know, the sweetheart neckline is actually a sweetheart, like it's being called. It's a way in which you can flaunt your um, curves, your bust, and your neck. So this is the time to make use of your curve. I'm just going to use my curve to draw out a beautiful curve like this. So what I'm going to do now is to create my armhole curve so that I'll be able to blend in the sweetheart neckline into it. And by doing that, I'm going to just measure from my shoulder slant to that chest line there and fold my tape measure into two in order to discover the midpoint of my armhole line like this. So I'm going to mark there. That is the mid of that line. And I'm going to go inward by half inch this way, and I'll be using my curve area, my ruler, to draw a straight line to that curve like this. So before we draw out the rest of the armhole, I'm just going to quickly input my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'm going to add in the allowance taken at that side, which is 1 inch. I'm going to add it this way to it, and I'm going to use my curve the curve part of my ruler to draw out the armhole this way, as you can see me do. I'm going to gently connect it to the armhole line there, and voila, we have our armhole curve. And as you can see here that the sweetheart neckline is not connected to the armhole, which is not good. I'm going to just clean it off this way, and I'm going to connect it to the armhole this way since it's a bustier. So I'm going to use my curve to maneuver it. Guys, do not mind that tape measure throw in there. Somebody needed it, so I had to quickly give it to her. Then I'm going to just connect the curve this way like this. So you just all about blending in. You blend in your curve. So here I am trying to manipulate and to get the perfect curve for this. I'm just going to blend the rest of the curve this way towards that curve, and this is it already. So it's just all about getting to know how to blend in your curves with your ruler. With few attempts, you're going to just be perfect with it. So I'm going to use my curve to blend it in this way. So here is it. Our sweetheart neckline is connected to our armhole line. So the next thing I'm doing is to mark out my waist circumference measurement divided by 4, and I am going to add my dart allowance to it, which is 1 inch. The dart you took away, guys, do not forget. And I'm going to connect it straight to my armhole area there to create my side seam. So after doing that, now it's time to draft out the bust dart, and the bust dart is gotten by the difference between my shoulder, your shoulder to your waist measurement for the front and for the back. Mine, in my case, is 16 inches for my front and 14 inches for my back, and the difference is 2 inches. That is what I'm using to create my bust dart. Guys, you need to put your bust dart when you are making a pattern like this, so that when you are sewing, your front bodies would be equal to your back bodies at the side seam. So the next thing to do is to divide my underbust circumference into four, and I would put that measurement on my underbust line. And right now I folded my tape measure in two. That is, I folded it once and I folded it again to get the accurate measurement of my underbust. And whatever measurement I have, I'm going to put it on my underbust line this way. Now I'm going to measure from that place to the side seam in order to create the contour of my underbust. So whatever you get there will be divided unevenly on both sides. That is, the largest will go to the side and the lowest will come towards the center front of the bodies. So I'm just going to make that visible, that line visible for you all to see well. Like this, I'm going to make it more visible this way and this way. So after doing that, let's say you have 1 inch left from that distance, the underbust towards the side, the underbust measurement towards the side seam. You're going to put like 0.75 on the side seam, on the side part of your bodies, and 0.25 the rest of the measurement on the center front. This would make it, make your contour more visible and make the shape of the bust look finer. So right now, after putting my measurements or for the dart, for the contour, I'm just going to use my curve to blend it out, blend it towards my bust point this way, so that it's going to form my bust contour like this. And I'm also going to use my curve, not the deep part of the curve, but just the slightest part, and I'll connect it this way. So you can see that our bust is contour is created. Now I'm going to just connect the um, contour to the dart legs this way, and I'll connect it this way as well. So as you can see, I'm just shading that part to make it clearer to us that it will be cut off. So after we are done with the front bodies, it's time to draft the back bodies. But permit me to say this, that this dress is the normal bustier dress with a zip at the back, but she wanted, just for extra snatching, a little bit of snatching, she wanted eyelet at the back. So it's not the normal basic corset in which people take out 1 inch, 2 inches from their accurate, like their original measurement. This one is different. It is quite a fitted bustier dress, but she just wanted an eyelet at the back so that she can just give it an extra snatching. So right now I drew a line to demarcate the front from the back, and now I'm just putting my zipper allowance of 1.5 inch, and I'm going to connect it with a straight line. And so I'll be labeling that as the zip allowance. And so every measurement will be taken from the second line. I'm going to be measuring my shoulder line divided by 2 measurements from the second line there, and I'll be marking it out this way. After that is done, I'll be measuring my shoulder to my waist measurement for the back. I'm going to be marking it, which is 14 inches. Remember, it is different from that of the front. My shoulder line to my waist for the front is 16 inches, while for my back is 14 inches. So please, guys, let's take this into consideration. Then I'll be connecting the points together this way with a straight line, and I'm going to be cleaning off that my front waistline extension so that we will not be confused. And guys, let me quickly say this: the lines that we'll be needing for the back are just the shoulder line, the chest line, and the waistline. We're not going to be needing the bust line and under bust line. We'll be just be using the shoulder line, the chest line, and the waist line. So I'm just extending it. So from the second line there, I'm just going to measure inwards my bust span measurement. That is my nipple to nipple, which is 4 inches. I'm going to put the measurement there on the waistline and on the chest line, and I'm going to connect with a straight line like that. So that is my bust span line where the dart is going to be. So I'm going to just replicate the shoulder line, the measurement on my chest line this way, 7.5, and I'm going to connect it to my starting line there this way. I'm going to extend it towards the chest line like that, so that we can be able to create our armhole. Then on that line, I'm going to come downwards by 1 inch to create the shoulder slant, and I'm going to just mark out my neck line measurement from the second line of 3 inches. Remember, all measurement is taken from the second line. So I'm going to mark it out that way, and I'm going to connect it to my neck width measurement this way with a slanted line. So that is my shoulder slant. So this was the moment when I realized that there shouldn't be a bust line at the back. And as you can see here, I'm erasing it. I don't know why on earth I forgot about this, but mistakes are inevitable, right? So guys, skip this part. Do not draw a bust line at your back. And now from the chest line, I'm coming down by ½ inch, and with my curve ruler, I'm going to connect it to that armhole line there, as you can see, with a slight curve. So this is the neckline for my back. You can decide to make yours straight depending on what you want, but I just chose to, be a little bit dramatic with the back. Now I'm now going to take my dart for the neckline to avoid gaping, and I'm going to use 0.25 this time around instead of ½ inch on both sides for the neckline of my back like this. And also for the waist, I'll be making use of ½ inch on both sides, just as we did for the front. The waistline, I'll just go inwards by ½ inch on both sides like this, and I use my straight ruler to connect both ends together like this. After that has been done, I'm just going to input my bust circumference measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to add in that allowance there to the measurement this way. So I'm going to use the same method for the waistline. I'm going to put my waistline measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to add in the dart that was taken away. I'm going to add it back to the measurement, and with my straight ruler, I'm going to connect both ends together like this with a straight line. So after you've done that, the next thing to do is to just draw in your armhole curve using the curve of my ruler. I'm just going to connect it to the straight line, the armhole line there, just as this. At this stage, guys, it is time to label your pieces because once you cut them out, you might not be able to identify them accurately. So you give it a proper labeling. As you can see, I'm labeling that side back, then center back. I'm going to label the top, the bottom of each fabric. I'm going to label them with T for top and B for bottom, so that when you want to join your pieces together to form your garment, you will not be confused. So right now, the next thing I'm going to do is to contour the zipper part. Yes, guys, if you are a 2024 tailor, you should know this by now. For every garment that requires a zipper, you need to contour the zipper in order not for it to bulge. So I'm just going to go inward from the first line this time around, not the second, by ½ inch, and I'm going to connect that point to my chest line area this way. So if you do this for your garment, trust me guys, your zipper allowance, the back of your garment will look, smooth. It will not be bulgy. It will look accurate on the person's body, to look perfect. So I'm just shading that part off to um give me to help me to know that I'm to cut that place. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. So before I cut out the front pattern completely, I'm going to just close up that bust dart in order for it to become equal with the back. So this is how we do it. You slash one of the parts open and we raise it to cover the other side of the dart. So as you can see, I'm going to first open up the um, waist dart like this at that line. I'm just going to open it up this way so that it's going to be easy for us to close the bust dart, and I'm going to raise it up to cover that bust line like this, and I'm going to tape it in place with my tape, cello tape. But before that, I'm going to put in a little piece of paper underneath. Now I'm going to secure it with my cello tape as you see me do gently. Then I'm with my pencil and my ruler, I'm going to connect the side seam to the waistline because automatically it's going to be altered. So you have to correct it back. With my scissors, I'm just going to cut off the excess paper off and continue with my cutting. So these are the pieces for the top part of our bustier dress, already cut out neatly and labeled. It is time to draft the bottom part of our dress, that is the skirt part, and I'm just going to rule a straight line for as the starting line. And do not mind my pattern paper, I had to sellotape some pieces together to create this big one because I ran out of paper. Now from that line, let's assume that is our waistline, we're going to go down to mark our hip line. Okay, but first I'm going to mark the total skirt measurements. I'm not going to add allowance to this yet, and mind you guys, I did not add allowance to the bustier yet. I'm going to be doing that on the fabric. So I'm just going to draw out my line. This is my M line. I'm using my marker because of the sellotape in order for you guys to see it. And guys, you will notice I hardly use marker in my tutorials because it will not be easy to come off each time I make a mistake. I prefer using my pencil. So the next thing I'm going to do is to draw out my hip line from the waistline. So I'm just measuring my hip line measurements, which in my case it's 8 inches. Yours might be 9 or higher. So you have to take your measurements. So I'm just going to draw out the line with a straight line like this. And I just label that as HL, meaning hip line. So on my waistline there, that is the starting line, I'm going to measure my hip circumference divided by 4. I'm not adding waist darts for the skirt. I'm not going to add my sewing allowance as well because I'm reserving my paper. I'm going to be adding that on my fabric. So if you want waist darts, this is the time for you to add your waist darts to it. But I am not, I am doing a dartless skirt for the bustier dress. For the hip measurement, I'm going to take away 1 inch and divide that result by 4 and mark it. And on the M line as well, I'm going to put the same hip measurement there. With my ruler, the curved part, not the deeply curved part, just the slightly curved, I'm going to connect it to it this way, connect the waist measurement to the hip measurement, and from the hip measurement there, I'm going to connect it downwards to the M line this way. So since it's a pencil dress, a pencil skirt, I just went inwards by 1 inch from that side line, that side seam line, and I'm going to connect that to the hip line to give it a little bit of pencilness, to make it slanted, not straight skirt. If it's a straight skirt you want, the first line is better. But if it's a pencil skirt, it's better you um go inwards by 1 inch or 2 inches depending on your preference. So I just shaded that part off to identify that I'll be cutting away that side. So from the waistline, I'm going to come down with my tape measure by half inch, 0.5 inch, that way, and using my ruler, the curve part, not the deep curve area, just the slightly curve, I'm going to connect it to my waist point there, like this, and I'm going to cut it out. So it's time to draft the back pattern for our skirt, and as you can see me here, I'm just going inward with my tape measure by 1.5 inches. So this space will be for our zipper allowance. And I'm going to connect all three dots together with my ruler like this, and like this. And I'm just labeling that as my zip allowance. So every other measurement will be taken from that line, the new line we just finished drawing. So from there, I'm just going to input my waist measurement just as the front, like this. I can as well place my front pattern on that line and draft it up, but I just wanted you to see it. And the next thing I'm doing right now on the hip line is to put in my hip measurement that I use for the front. Remember, I took away 1 inch from the hip and I divided it by 4. So that is what I'm just putting on the hip line. And I'm going to replicate same measurement for the M line as well. I'm going to put the hip measurement on the M line from that second line, guys. Then I'm going to connect it with the slightest curve on my ruler this way, like this. And I'm going to just connect it downwards with the straight part of my ruler, like this, towards that measurement, and like this. And guys, do not forget to blend out that angled part. So right now I'm just going to come inwards by 1 inch to taper the side of my skirt to make it a little bit penciled. If it is straight skirt you want, you just keep this part. So I'm just going to connect it this way. Do not mind my marker, guys. I'm just going to do it this way. Like this. So I'm just shading that part off to indicate where I'm going to cut out. So the next thing I'm doing now is to add back that 1 inch we took from our hip measurement to form the contour of our skirt, to make the skirt more shapy and look fine at the butt area. That is why I did that method. So from that hip line, I'm going to come outward by 1 inch. That is, I'm adding back that 1 inch we took from the hip measurement before dividing it. And from that hip line as well, I'm going to come down by 8 inches and mark. This is the downward slope of our butt. So it is advisable for you to measure that on your clients. So I'm now going to connect it like this with my ruler towards the waist. Then from that point, that 1 inch point, I'm going to use the slightest part of my cuff, not the deep end, and connect it towards that point. So what I'm going to do next is to smoothen out that edge with the inner part of your curve roller this way, and also do that on the opposite direction. Yeah, I did that off camera. So the mistake I made here was that I didn't leave enough allowance at that side. So if you're going to leave allowance, make sure you leave about 3 inches. So I'm just going to take out my zipper allowance, which is 1.5 inch, and connect it there. So you can see, guys, the way I'm struggling to put my zipper allowance, but I later added that on my fabric, so I didn't have a problem. But please do not be like me. I'm so sorry, it's so embarrassing. But just add in your zipper allowance, 1.5 inch, around that side after you've contoured it this way. So that is what I'm doing. At least we learn from our mistakes, like I said earlier on. So this is it. It will not be repeated again, I promise, guys. It won't be repeated. So from there, I'm just going to go downwards. I'm just trying to highlight that 8 inch so that you will know. Then I'm just going to go downwards like that. So this other new line would represent our zipper allowance. So from the edge of the paper towards, just take 3 inches, please, guys. So right now I'm just shading that part off that will be cut off. I added all my allowance when I wanted to transfer it to my fabric. You're going to see that in the second part of this video. So I'm just going to cut it out. So this is our back pattern already cut out. As you can see, I haven't cut the waist yet. And right now I'm just showing you again the zipper allowance and telling you to add more allowance, like more paper to it. So that is it. I'm just trying to show you the error. That place should have been 1.5 inches, but there was no space. I'm so sorry again. Well, I'm going to go ahead to cut out the waistline for this back skirt, and we've come to the end of the pattern drafting for the bustier. The next video will be on the pattern drafting of the dartless lace dress and the sewing tutorial as well. So do not forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you'll be aware each time I drop the videos very soon. And do not forget to like and share. See you on the next video. Bye.